Friday Reads, filling up your social media feeds with my Friday Reads, gonna read a book for my Friday Reads.
Hello book people, PT here with my slightly belated Friday Reads. So this past week I read 3 things. I read, very prepared for this video as you can see. I read Sandman Overture, which is the recently released kind of like prequel story to the Sandman series, and I enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to be doing a review of this in its own video, so I won't talk more about that now. I also read this book that I mentioned I was going to be reading along with my daughter, who had also read it and recommended it to me. So I guess I read it after her, but based on her recommendation, so I could talk to her about it. And that was Kingdom Keepers, Disney After Dark. And that was a fun little kind of middle grade book that I've had a lot of fun talking with her about, because she's very excited about these books in the series. She said it's the most excited she's been about a book series since she first read Harry Potter. She's not done with Harry Potter. She's on book like 4, I think, of Harry Potter. But the third book, and the book I want to talk most about right now, is Brain on Fire, My Month of Madness by Susanna Callahan. So this is a book about a young woman who is a journalist for the New York Post, and she is basically just has all these weird symptoms come up, and she kind of just has this mental illness where she loses touch with reality and is yelling at everyone. It's a pretty intense story, and scary the way she just goes from just like basically loses control of her mind. Really interesting first-person perspective on that. It's kind of a memoir. The one knock against it, I would say, was that the writing style was a little bit jarring for me, because it's a first-person, memoir, but because she wasn't fully in control of all her mental capacities during this time, she has tells a lot of stuff in there that she was not present for, like her parents talking to the doctors and things like that. But the way it's told, because it's a first-person narrative, is a little bit jarring in that it would be like, my mom leaned over and said hi to me and gave me a hug or whatever, and then my mom walked out of the room and walked over to this other room where the doctor was, and then she'll relay that whole conversation, which she wasn't there for. And she talks a little bit about in the introduction about how she did a lot of research and interviews and stuff like that to put together those pieces that she didn't have. But at the same time, like in a first-person narrative, it's a little jarring. Like when all of a sudden you're having, like, without any kind of break. I think it would have been better if she would have put some kind of, section break in there for the parts that she wasn't there. She could have still told those stories. And also, like, she probably could have done without the direct quotes for those parts when she was not there, and just like, kind of said what happened. Because the other funny part is, like, in all those sections, like, everyone else, like her family and the doctor, is always like, oh my gosh, she's just the strongest person we've ever known, and she's just the best person, she's the heart of our family, and all this stuff like that. Which I can imagine, like, if you're interviewing your family later, I'm like, oh, what did you talk to the doctor about? And like had them try to like recreate what they said, they're probably gonna say that. Not that they didn't say that, but it just kind of struck me as funny. So anyway, that knock aside, I really did enjoy the book. It was fascinating. It was kind of scary look at what it's like to suffer from this strange mental illness that the doctors couldn't identify for a long time, or it took them a long time to figure out what exactly she had and to be able to treat it. So fascinating book. I highly recommend it. Give it 4 stars. This week I'm going to be reading 2 things. Mostly I'm going to be reading Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. This was on my TBR a couple months ago, but I didn't get to it. But really looking forward to this book. I'm a big Stephen King fan, and this is, a little bit outside his normal kind of book. It's more of a crime book, I believe. And I'm also interested in it because this series is his first trilogy that he's ever written. And the trilogy, is a unique beast, and I'm really interested to see how he tackles it. Finally, the last thing I'm going to be reading this week is, once again, very prepared, We Three by Frank Morrison and Frank Hoytley, which is the story of cute little animals who are somehow weaponized by the government. I don't know the whole story of it or exactly what happens, but I do know it's supposed to be like heartbreaking and brilliant, and short little, it's only 3 issues long, short little piece, but it's supposed to be very, very affecting and very beautiful. And I love Grant Morrison and Frank Hoytley, so this will be a good one I'm really looking forward to. That's what I'm going to be reading this week. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.